Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gooner Gathering. I am Lee, and I'm back to health, and you can actually hear me talking this time. That's good. Joined by Sam Wilson this evening. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing okay, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm in fine form, and we are right on the back of watching the WSL game from this evening between Brighton and Hove Albion and the Arsenal. So I think what we'll probably do, mate, we'll get straight into it, shall we?
Yeah.
So, hello. Someone's in the comments. I wonder who that could be. Hello, Stacey. That was a surprise.
That was
Fancy
quick.
seeing you here. She's my friend in real life as well, you see. So,
But that's quick still.
I know. It's always nice to see people in the back there. Right. So, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop the team lineup on,
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately, this ended up as being old news because we see Leah Walty is named there, but for I believe just before kickoff she was taken out and replaced by Katie Taylor, making her first start since she returned. I believe Walty was taken ill.
Injured, yeah. It said on Sky Sports injured in the warm-up. So whether that could be ill or that could be injured, it could be either or, I suppose.
Pretty sure that
ill.
Either way, she didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go through the rest of the lineup? Because I can't really see it with my screen.
So, Zinsberger in goal, obviously. Moritz, Beattie, Raffaelli, Wubben-Moy, McCabe, not Volti anymore, Marnan, Pullover, Cool, Blackstenius, and then Jodie Taylor.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's Jen Beattie's couple of starts on the trot now. I think it's the first time she's done that.
I think we've unfortunately not been given much choice in the matter. Because you've got to kind of play, because I don't really know how it's working. Because we've kind of got three centre backs playing in a forward back. But obviously it's working, so
it worked good enough to to be honest. It certainly with Lotta and certainly Raffaelli in the first half, they were getting quite far forward, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So just beyond that halfway line. So it's fair to say, I would say we started with intentions. We obviously knew that Chelsea were banging the goals in their match as well. So that message, I would imagine, would have gone through to our players, and they didn't take very long to respond to the news that was going on with Chelsea.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Now I think you've just got all that we can do because we're chasing. All that we can do is kind of win the games that are in front of us. It doesn't really matter as to what everybody else does. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
So I guess we just started off with that intensity that we normally do. And we're lucky that we've got a finisher. Two really nice finishes. Not easy at all. But it was just kind of, it was almost like you could have just turned it on and he'd have been 2-0 up, and it was kind of that's the tone for the rest of the game. And then that gave us kind of chance to pick when to press.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like press 24/7. It was just picking our moments, basically. What was more impressive about it all.
Yeah. And as far as the goal coming about, it was in the 6th minute. Katie McCabe played the ball. It was on the left-hand side. There was a slip from the defender, and as soon as Blackstenius got the ball, you knew what was going to happen. She just put it away, like she does.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasies. And before you blinked and you wrote down or put a couple of notes on your notepad, all of a sudden it's 2-0.
Yeah, they're kind of playing out from the back, weren't they? And kind of have taken it a little bit lightly in that, to the point where Stina just nicks it. No, I think somebody else nicked it, to be fair, and then passed it on to Stina.
Yeah.
We then just ran with it and slotted it into the bottom corner. So, yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't hard enough for Brighton, who hadn't beaten us in the WSL, they probably gave us a goal there. Oh,
Yeah, it was just Stina doing Stina things. And then I think she was really unfortunate to not get the third one because she had so many chances, but it just wouldn't go in.
yeah, absolutely. So that that she could have had a hat trick in about 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
She had one goal chalked off for an offside. I don't know if it was. It looked very tight.
I don't think it was, but until you look back at it again, you can't really see it as such. But I think the commentary kind of also said it was fairly unfortunate that she was called offside.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say hello to Luca, who's in the chat as well. It's nice to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well, mate. So there we go. So yeah, we didn't really put the kept the foot on the accelerator. I would think.
Mm-hmm.
And Blackstenius. The next thing I've got written down for her is a header that went over the bar.
Yeah. She was just everywhere. It wasn't kind of any other way to describe it. She was just literally everywhere in attack and around their final third. She was just electric, pretty much.
Yep, absolutely. And so we've got they sort of rode the storm a little bit there. We had a bit of time had lapsed. I think that maybe they sort of had a chance to sort of have a break and get themselves together and get themselves a little bit more organised for a time. But Betsinius next had a header. Sorry, not the header. She hit the side netting from a through pass from. I can't remember who played the pass. To be fair, can you?
Yeah, I can't actually. She ran literally quite a lot to kind of try and make herself space enough to slot it in. But I think she got too far to the line, realising she was too wide out and just the best that she could, really. But I've just looked at where Brighton are in the league. So they'll be on 20 games now.
Yeah.
Because Sky Sports are late at doing it. So they'll be on 16 points. I think it's the bottom two that go down. So they're not really. So Reading are on 11 and then Leicester are on 13 and they're on 17. 16, sorry. So they're not really a team that's mathematically that safe yet.
None of them are particularly safe at the moment down there, are they?
And they didn't look like a team that were kind of fighting at all. They're just kind of a team that had kind of given up the ghost almost.
I mean, at least with Leicester, which Matt was kind enough to talk about yesterday for us, I felt they did exceptionally well to keep the score down, and they had plenty of fight about them. Certainly from what I saw. The other one you mentioned are in trouble. Tottenham are in trouble. I understand. I understand they're doing their first WSL game at their the new White Hart Lane or whatever when they want to call their stadium.
Okay, I'm thrilled to know that.
Well, I'm not a broadcast journalist, sir. I thought I'd give this information.
For women's football, I'm pleased, but for my loyalties, I can't be pleased at all.
Okay, fair enough. All right then.
Sorry, it's the bottom team that goes down. So there is literally just one team.
Oh, okay. Well, that clears that up then. Thanks, mate. So we had a bit of a break before anything else happened, I suppose. The goals with the Arsenal side, certainly over the season, have been spread about quite a bit. And you've got to say, Marnham, a goal record over, especially recently, has been incredible. Shows she's the next one on the score sheet here, and she scores from a header, which was basically unchallenged, in all fairness, from across from Moritz. That was her 5th goal in 6 WSL matches. What an improvement for her.
She's the closest I've seen since we let Jill Ward go. I think she's the closest kind of very alike player that just kind of plays it like an attacking midfielder role, where she just is free to kind of have that low license and just can hit it from miles and it goes in. Yeah. And I guess it's the fact that she wasn't in the team and she only got back in the team for injuries and stuff, and then just made herself kind of undroppable almost. So I think you take her out of this team, certainly after we've had all the injuries and stuff. And I think that's a key part, and probably a lot less points we would have gained, I think.
Yeah. If my memory is right, she was the one who came into the side when Miedemar was struggling a little bit for getting her form and everything like that. And then, of course, with Viv's long-term ACL injury, one of many that we've spoken about currently, she's kind of solidified a space into that first team lineup.
Yeah, and it was the same sort of thing the season before. I think she was kind of wasn't getting played and kind of any bit parts, but when she did play, she was unbelievable. So yeah, I think it's a key part in the team now for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like you to talk to me a little bit, if you would, about Pelova, please, because it's one player I've not seen an awful lot of. Obviously, she's new to me because she's new, like a new signing for Arsenal for this season, and not one I've seen an awful lot of. Today, she scored her first WSL goal. Tell me about how she plays and how the goal came about.
I can't actually remember off the top of my head how the goal came about, but I can certainly talk about her because at the start of the season, she was also one of the ones that I was a little bit unsure of in terms of I don't really know much about her. But after that, I've kind of taken a little bit of an effort just to watch in certain games when she's playing, just to watch how she plays. And it's just kind of that seems to where all the energy and the spark in midfield comes from almost.
Yeah.
That kind of fresh energy that just she's able to just ping the ball around and create opportunities to go forward and just be that sort of kind of, I guess, Martin Odegaard sort of role.
Yeah, that's a good
playing comparisons, and she's just able to kind of advance play. So I've been really impressed with her when I've actually sit and watched.
Yeah,
because she's potentially had more time than she might have had if everyone was fit in the team to actually show what she's about and stake a claim, and I think she's definitely done that.
I mean, that's the very reason why they brought her in January. It's because of the players going down like Beth Mead, like Miedemar, and she's done very well. I can describe the goal a little bit. It was Marnham who played the through pass to her, and she's just slipped the ball in nice and calmly. I think she was in the 6-yard area, and she just put it away. And just before half time, it's 4-0 to Arsenal. And you're thinking this could be anything. Well, much like football is, you have one half like that where everything we could throw at them was going in. A second half wasn't as exciting. I want to give Brighton a bit of credit actually.
Yeah,
I think it's only right because they definitely managed to get themselves much more organised. They stopped any more damage going through. There are a couple of points I do want to bring up during the match. Then we'll go on to other little bits of news. Stina Blackstenius again was denied a hat trick. She had a shot blocked really well by the goalkeeper. Do you remember this? Just before the hour mark.
There was a couple of those actually during the second half where she was really unfortunate, where she couldn't have done much more to actually score other than maybe took it in the corner a little bit more. But yeah, they certainly gave up a little bit of a fight and caused us a little bit more trouble. Yeah. But it's too little too late when you're 4-0 down at half time. And it's just kind of like, I guess as a team, when you're 4-0 down, you're just kind of like, well, we're at a point now where things can't get much worse. So all we can do really is come out second half and try and play football.
And they had plenty of efforts on goal as well, didn't they? They certainly managed. There was a 10-minute spell where they managed to have a really good amount of efforts going at us. There's one in particular I do want to bring up, which Jem Beattie managed to block. pretty poor defending on our part, but ball managed to sort of ricochet to one of the Brighton players. The shot got taken away, and Beattie just managed to get in the way of it just ahead of Zimberger and cleared it for a corner kick, which, and I wanted to sort of give a bit of a. It wasn't all completely Arsenal in this match, is what I'm trying to say. I can feel myself about to cough, mate, so you might have to cover for me for a minute.
No, that's all right.
Would you like to talk about Caitlin Ford making a comeback a little bit, mate?
Yeah. Also got another point. I've just thought towards the end of the game, Jen Beattie had the most touches of an Arsenal player, which was like 149. So I just did want to put a little bit of credit into that, because I think when she's had to step in, I'm quite a harsh critic of her sometimes, because she is a little bit slower than other centre backs, but that's going to come with age and stuff. And
I was going to say, she's a veteran of the side, isn't she?
Yeah, but when she's had to step in this season, she's done really well, so I can't fault her for that.
Particularly in Champions League matches as well. I mean, she's phenomenal in the ties, particularly the tie against Munich. That rings a bell.
So I had the program for Barcelona. So I went to that game. Not Barcelona, Wolfsburg. Sorry.
Close on your brain, mate.
Yeah, the second leg, and I was just reading Jonas's notes at the front, and it said, there is one person in the changing rooms that we look up to as the kind of expectation of what it is to play for Arsenal. So I was expecting like a Miedema, a Mead, any of those sort of players, and it was Jen Beattie, because she does a lot of work with the coach in the under-17s team as well. And yeah, in terms of how long she's been there, she's probably the longest standing player in the squad by quite a way as well. So yeah, that's kind of the benchmark of what happens when coming into Arsenal, is they're kind of shown this example almost.
Yeah, and one thing I don't think we've really discussed on this channel certainly is that it's not just all that she does behind the scenes; it's what she's overcome as well in terms of health issues and stuff like that. She managed to overcome cancer, didn't she? And she's a much like a playing style. She's a fighter and a leader, and she managed to conquer things like that. And yeah, I think she's a phenomenal defender. And you're right in saying she's probably played an awful lot more than she probably would have expected for this season. Certainly with Leah Williamson out, Raffaelli's had a little bit of time out as well. So she's always come in. She's always done the simple things very, very well. I think is the best thing, and that's what you want of a centre half. Something that it's kind of lost in this modern game, if you understand what I mean, from someone who's a little bit old school, who understood what being a centre half or being a defender was trying to actually defend properly, as opposed to bomb on forward and put your forward back into midfield and all this kind of nonsense, which I'm not a big fan of.
I think it probably helped her as well, because of she's most of the time she's had Raffaele alongside her.
Yeah.
Who can cover for sort of, because she is quick, so she can kind of cover that. So Jen can literally just almost stand there and defend.
Yeah.
Whereas Raffaele is kind of doing the covering in order to kind of catch up with players almost.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whereas before we had last season, it was kind of like a inexperienced lotter next to her. So that was probably where we saw more of the pitfalls as well.
Absolutely. Do you know what? There's something I skipped on, which I shouldn't have done, and that was on changes that we made at half time. And the player that came on, Gio, would come on for Raffaele, who was centre half. I want to say Gio had for about 24 minutes. She, as an impact sub, she was fantastic, because she had so many touches of the ball. She was going forward. She was involved with the play. But unfortunately, the curse of the injuries have come about again. It looked like she pulled a hamstring right on the byline, didn't it?
Yeah, she. I believe. I could be wrong in saying, but I'm sure she went into a tackle really hard, and kind of came out worse because of it.
Yeah.
Because then I think she came on. I think that's when Caitlin Ford came on. I think was it?
It was absolutely right. So I suppose one leaves the injury table, and one joins it. But
Yeah.
It was good to see Caitlin Ford out there. She's not been seen in an Arsenal shirt for a good few weeks. And with the close of the season approaching, she's going to want to get minutes behind her for the upcoming tournament in the summer, isn't she? So she'll be pleased with that.
Yeah, and it's going to be another one away from having a full team, basically, of injuries. So yeah, that's always good.
So that's Walty down. That's another. That's Gio down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know what you were saying. You saying a bit ago about we're still well in the mix, and I suppose the aim is to get back into that Champions League position, isn't it? Because of where we are. I believe today's result. Obviously, we said that it was the end of the scoring, and it did end 4-0 to us. It leaves us third in the table.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a real shame for us not to qualify for Champions League again next term, particularly after how well we've done this year and getting to the semi-finals. Particularly how well that they've sold out the Emirates Stadium as well, particularly on the semi-final.
Yeah,
it'll be just a dreadful shame and probably a little bit of a backward step.
Yeah, and knowing we'll have those players out back, that's just going to make us, I think, something else. Because if we can still play at this standard when we've got kind of 7, 8, 9 players out now,
yeah,
and we can still kind of, yes, Brighton are well down the table, but when you can still play like that with that many injuries, it shows that you're almost getting something quite special.
Yeah, totally agree. Last little point I want to bring up, and I won't spend an awful lot of time with that because it's a player I don't think we both know very well, but it's probably worth noting. There was a young player coming on. Her name's Godfrey. It's a full debut today. Congratulations! That's amazing to get on the field for a couple of minutes today. We'll see how she develops. I don't know too much about her, but really that's pretty much all of the match review that I want to do. Unless there's anything else that I may have missed.
Other than that, I've just typed in Godfrey, and she is an England under-19 international, but is 17 years old.
Oh, well, so she's playing a couple of years under the limit. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she might have had some time up in Ipswich as well. But
yeah.
See, I have been doing my homework, sir, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. So that's the game covered. It's was 4-0 final score.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of little bits of news that we'll want to talk about before we go today. We mentioned the ladies' games playing at the Emirates Stadium a second ago. It was announced today that there's going to be 5 WSL fixtures to be played at the Emirates next season. Now, I'm pretty sure you'd been at the Emirates for at least a couple of them this season. Tell me how good the atmosphere is at the Emirates for these ladies' games, and how different is it for the ladies' games to the men's games, just for example?
There just seems to be a different kind of energy. There isn't kind of it's just the full support of the team. It's not kind of if things don't go like the men's way, it can get quite bitter sometimes and kind of aggressive almost, it would seem to some. But when you know that's just passion. So yeah, I just think it's just a different energy to it all. There's a freshness to it all. And I think there was I want to say there was 6 games in total, including Champions League games there this season. So that's a fairly big step up to say that you're going to have all of those basically bar one on just WSL games, and then that's without factoring in whether we do or do not get into the Champions League as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive incentive as well, isn't it? Getting the 60,000 plus stadium, and it was an incredible scenes to see, and a real shame when we went out in the semi-final in the Champions League.
Yeah, but I think
go on.
I think it's kind of finally made them wake up to the fact of that here's your not. I don't think it was a complete. They sold all the tickets out. There were still some empty seats on the day, but there's your kind of incentive for Arsenal to say, look, we have now sold it out, so you've got to start listening now, and you've got to start putting more games on, and just factoring it in where there's not a men's game at the same time, or because it was shown that we can sell out then.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I mentioned Spurs a minute ago, you kind of gave me the, I'm not that bothered kind of thing. I do know as well they are planning doing a double header for so they're going to do a ladies game and men's same stadium the same day. So I don't know if that's something Arsenal plan to do. I think just be interesting to see how it plays, because that could play either one or two ways.
Yeah, I just think it doesn't. I think the problem is, as much as it sounds a really good idea, I think something's kind of got to give in that in terms of the pitch, or it sounds great for if it's a friendly game, but if it's a league game for both, you're kind of thinking, well, if the men's get put first and the women's after, they're going to come to a pitch that's not great, or vice versa. So I think there's ways to do it, but I'm not sure that's completely correct.
Yeah, fair enough. All right then. Well, last point I wanted to cover tonight, and her name's already been brought up in our stream today, and there she is, Beth Mead, was it a birthday yesterday? I think it was.
No.
There she is. She collected her MBE medal today, as well as Lucy Bronze. Lucy currently of Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, currently also injured though, unfortunately.
Yeah, all part of the England injury club. So, but we mentioned the injuries. Beth on interview today for Sky is saying that she's ahead of schedule. She's out on the pitch. She's running. She's kicking a football round. Now, there's not a lot of games to go in the WSL. And your thoughts about her potentially being called up for England for the summer, would you think that's a gamble worth taking? Or is it worth thinking, well, is it more sensible to suggest maybe somebody else in the squad for this time, and hopefully for an Arsenal perspective, getting Beth ready to play in the WSL for next season?
Yeah, thinking about it now, I think I'm really half and half on this one, because when you're the top goal scorer of England, fully fit or not fully fit, she's always going to be in the picture of getting in the squad, just in terms of how well she did last tournament.
Yeah.
So if I was to give you an answer, I'd probably say if she's ready to play and she's allowed and taking part in training and stuff before, then it would be worth taking her just in case you've got 10 minutes of a game to go and you need a goal fast. I don't think it would be a risk worth taking to start her, knowing how serious ACL injuries are, but I'm sure that will be taken into account, and I'm sure Jonas will have his part to say on that as well. Yeah. So if she's fully back in full contact training by then and stuff like that, then it's always worth taking her.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen risks taken in other tournaments as well, not necessarily the ladies, but I'm thinking about, I can go way back to taking a half-foot David Beckham with metatarsal breaks in his foot, which that didn't exactly go well for him. And I'm sure that there's other things you can think of going along the line as well. But that's because she's such an exceptional talent. It's a real massive decision to make. There are other players as well that are scoring a lot of goals. I want to say Rachel Daly over the weekend did exceptionally well for Aston Villa. I believe she got a hat trick, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's have a look.
Sam going to adopt the role as stats man.
Yeah, it would have been Sunday, wouldn't it?
I think so. But even if she does, she's a heck of a player who very much England over the tournament last summer in the Euros. Lucy was used as the left back. She's an extraordinary talent. I've said that a couple of times on this channel, where she can play left back, she can play centre forward. Hey, you ask her to put a pair of gloves on, she'll probably go and goal for you.
Yeah, you were right. It was a hat trick on Sunday against Reading.
There you go. Thank goodness I got my stats right. There we go. So it's a case of a couple of weeks to go. Let's see how it all finishes. If she even gets on the field, I don't know if that's even possible for Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll soon find out.
It makes for a really exciting end of the season, though, I think, as well. Because realistically, we've got a game in hand. So our game in hand would put us on the same game, if we won it, on the same game as Chelsea. Same as Man City, sorry.
Right.
And we would be 44, 45, 47 points. So it's still a way off, but not completely out of the question. But yeah, top three is the main aim. I believe first and second go straight through, and then third after going to qualifying.
Okay, well, it's good to know. When is our next ladies WSL game? Is it the televised game that's going to be on for next Wednesday? Do you know, or is there something up the weekend before we wrap this up?
It is next Wednesday against Everton,
and that is
at 6:15
at Everton.
At Everton, yeah, sorry. And then we've got Chelsea away, and then Villa at home.
I tell you what, that's a bit of a difficult couple of end fixtures there. I would say that, but it's what the league's all about. You have to play everybody at some stage.
But I do also know that Man City have got Man United to play yet.
Goodness me, Manchester derby, that'll be a bit spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Well, I think on that note, I think we've pretty much covered where we need to be for tonight. I want to say a massive thank you for giving you about half hour of your evening to us on the channel tonight, Sam.
No, it's all right. It's been a little bit of a while, hasn't it? So I thought
it's always lovely having you on, mate, and we always appreciate you being here. So if I pop that on there, would you like to tell everyone where they can find you?
Yeah, so on Twitter, Sam Wilson, with the 1 in the space of the I in Wilson, because I locked myself out of the 1. So
there you go. Yeah, you can find me at Goonerly Mead. You can find all of us at Gooner Gathering. I have scheduled a stream in for the men's game, which is against
Sunday. Brighton
again, which is on Sunday before 4:15 start, much like Posh did over last weekend. We may squeeze another stream out on Saturday afternoon, but I'll confirm that on our socials. I want to say massive thank you to Luca and Stacey and anyone else that's been watching us, whether you're watching us live or watching us on demand, because I know there's been Champions League on tonight. So until we see you next time, look after yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Take care all. Bye bye.